Recently, the YouTuber Narpy made a call-out video exposing KonekoKitten and linked a Google Dropbox with many incriminating screenshots, proving how KonekoKitten has been lying to everyone consistently for over 2 years regarding the truth behind his interactions with Narpy, in which I basically covered in an older video back in January of 2021. In these images that Narpy shows, he proves that KonekoKitten had solicited nude images of him, despite the fact that Narpy was literally 17 years old at the time, so still a minor, such as agreeing to basically see images of his you-know-what, and then made comments about them, like sexually charged comments, in which he then promptly deleted to try and dodge any accountability or culpability in the situation. Narpy also covers how in KonekoKitten's original document attempting to call him out and ruin his reputation, KonekoKitten had spread false and incorrect evidence, such as false Twitter call-out posts attempting to claim and support the fact that Narpy was some sort of pedophile, even though he was quite literally a minor. This was a blatant attempt at KonekoKitten attempting to warp the narrative and tarnish Narpy's credibility to try and villainize and demonize the opposing side to try and make it harder for Narpy to come out about the truth. But after 2 long years, Narpy's finally shared his side of the story. Keep in mind, when hearing that Narpy would make a response, KonekoKitten yet again made a preemptive post on Twitter trying to cushion the blow of the situation, and in his entire paragraph, which he literally goes on for ages, he does not admit once that he asked a minor 3 years younger than them for nudes. He just generalizes the entire situation as incriminating against him. However, he does admit that he lied to thousands of people about the reality of the situation, and that the posts he was signal boosting in the document calling Narpy a pedophile were not true and were missing context. So basically, due to the lies that KonekoKitten had propagated in the document in order to tarnish Narpy's reputation, he literally has the brass neck to stay silent about it for 2 years, and this literally resulted in Narpy getting tons of death threats, harassment, he was literally doxxed, and then he was swatted on his live stream. No wonder why KonekoKitten feels guilty about this entire situation. He messed up big time with this on so many parts. Now, in this segment, Narpy states how KonekoKitten lied about the fact that the relationship was quote-unquote one-sided and not mutual. Here's a clip.
In the document, Koneko states that our relationship was very one-sided, in the sense that he didn't reciprocate intimately or sexually to me much or at all. I would like to correct this and prove that not only was our relationship not one-sided, but that it was rather mutual, and it had went on for many months.
And in this, Narpy provides very sexually charged messages in which prove KonekoKitten's culpability in this situation. So let's go over them. So in the first screenshot here, it shows that KonekoKitten says, "You just need some training." And Narpy, who's deleted user, and keep in mind, Narpy pretended to be a deleted user, so he was technically still had access to this account, states right here, "I want you to train me." And then KonekoKitten states, "Of course you do." And then the furry face, "Because I'd bully you the entire time." And then Narpy states, "Yes." And then KonekoKitten says, smiley face, "Smooch." And then Narpy, who's deleted user, continues by stating, "This free speed's killing me now. I don't know if I could hold any longer." And KonekoKitten says, "Don't, make a mess." I wonder what he's referencing there. And then Narpy states, "So you want me to go for it?" And then KonekoKitten says, "Your hand's right there." And then there's more messages that is being leaked here by Narpy, in which deleted user aka Narpy states, "I'm probably the horniest person you'll meet. That's a problem. Zzz." And then Kitten states, "I'm rarely horny nowadays." And then Narpy states, "I can't control it. Lol, yeah. Discord sex epic. Sex." And then Kitten states, "I'm glad I'm capable of making you nuts all over your shirt. Uwu." Oh my god. And then Narpy states, "Fuck, stop." And then Kitten states, "What's the matter? Not my fault your gay ass likes getting picked on." And then Narpy states, "I'm getting rock hard, LMAO. And then KonekoKitten continues by stating, "And the fun part, you're easy." And then there's another screenshot here in which KonekoKitten states, "Yeah," and then this face, "Why would I not, big dummy? Just saying though, yesterday your giggling was so precious." And then Narpy continues by stating, "Ha, our Discord sex was precious." And then KonekoKitten states, "Shush, happy for you. Hey, do you want to play Minecraft soon? Why'd you have to make me blush like that?" And then Narpy continues by stating, "I love you, ha. Also, sorry, I'm currently going to Lowe's to buy a carpet." And then KonekoKitten states, "Play Minecraft later. Also show carpet when you have it." And then more messages show KonekoKitten saying, "Hey, I totally smacked that shit." And it's referencing an image image that Narpy had posted when he was a minor of his butt, so it's an explicit image of a minor, which KonekoKitten's replying to here. And Narpy states, I crave it, yes, please kitten. And then KonekoKitten says, please what? Don't know what you're begging me for. And then Narpy states, fuck me. And then KonekoKitten states, I think you forget how big I am. And Narpy states, I'll take it all, ha 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 ha. And then KonekoKitten says, sure. That's a deadly decision to make, because when I'm on top plowing away, it's not like I'm stopping. And then Narpy continues by stating, I don't want you to stop. And in this other DM exchange, KonekoKitten states, maybe a little sore too. And then Narpy states, fuck off. And then KonekoKitten states, it's not really a giggling matter, you dummy, oh whoa. I could totally just come up behind you and reach up your underwear and grope you randomly. And then Narpy continues by stating, I'm so hard, LMAO. And then KonekoKitten says, climb on top of me and frot your you-know-what against mine. And Narpy continues by stating, fuck yeah, I want to. And then KonekoKitten continues by stating, shove your tongue down my throat while our dicks get slick and wet grinding. Oh my god, what am I reading? And then he states, oh fuck off, I'm so horny. And then KonekoKitten says, heh, love heart emoji. And then they even continue with Narpy stating, my butt, and KonekoKitten says, with the thigh highs, yeah, no question I'd grope it, ooh woo. And then Narpy here says, and then KonekoKitten says, it's probably nice and soft too. And then Narpy says, it is, hehehehe. And KonekoKitten says, you're such a something, ooh woo cutie. Would be soft and red after a bit of my manhandling. And then Narpy continues by stating, for fuck, haha. And then KonekoKitten continues by stating, maybe a little sore too. And then Narpy states, fuck off. Anyway, as you can see here, KonekoKitten even stated he never asked for Narpy, who was 17 at the time, for nudes. But once again, this is a complete and utter lie, because what happened is KonekoKitten deleted all the messages where he was asking for and soliciting Narpy at the time, who was a minor, for nudes, in order to make it look like he was in the right in this situation, and to purport a direct narrative that he wasn't in the wrong. And keep in mind, Narpy had actually got these DMs, as I said earlier, as he pretended that his Discord account was deleted. He even made the name of the Discord account deleted user, even though he still had access to it. So when KonekoKitten was actually removing all these messages, he didn't remove all of them, he only removed the most incriminating ones, because he believed Narpy would never be able to retrieve these chat logs again, because he would have never gave these up. So once again, this is just more proof of KonekoKitten hiding the truth from the public and straight up lying to people's faces instead of actually having the balls to take accountability for his actions. He even admitted he deleted and removed these messages because he was clearly hiding from his own actions. So now we will go over the chat messages of KonekoKitten receiving nudes from Narpy, who was a minor at the time. He was 17, KonekoKitten was 20, it was a 3-year age gap. Okay, so here's the Discord logs, and KonekoKitten says, what you doing? And then Narpy says, time to take some photos. And as you can see here, every time there's a line here, it's an interjection of where KonekoKitten or Narpy had done something and deleted the message, because otherwise, if we were to just take all of these chat logs as like this basis, it'd be missing a lot of context, because you see they're replying to a message which isn't even there anymore. So basically, all the lines here give context to what message used to be there. So in the yellow here it states, KonekoKitten deleted a message of him asking me to show him the photos, and then here Narpy replies in response to KonekoKitten's now deleted message, and then in the green it's where I sent Koneko the nude, and then KonekoKitten says LMAO, and then Narpy says no, and then KonekoKitten in reference to the nude states, I don't know if it's the angle, but it looks massive. Wonder what he's referencing there. And then Narpy here states, B word, what angle? And then deleted KonekoKitten message of him being sexual to me, or Narpy in this case. And then Narpy states, and then KonekoKitten puts that face down. And then deleted Koneko message of him being sexual to Narpy once again here. And then Narpy states, shut. I seriously want something up my butt right now. Tempted to use the Sharpie again. Okay. Wanna see me finger myself. And the messages continue here in a yellow with a message of KonekoKitten saying yes to Narpy, asking him, do you want to see another nude of me? Narpy over here says, heh, this is the first time I fingered myself with lube. It feels so nice. And then Narpy sends the nude to KonekoKitten here, and KonekoKitten states, congrats, you're becoming a bottom, how does it feel? And then Narpy replies, great, my ass is so tight, I need something to loosen it up. And then here, apparently according to Narpy, KonekoKitten says, he asked me to ride his you-know-what. And obviously that would make sense in this context, because otherwise in this situation, it just looks like Narpy in the next messages is laughing at absolutely nothing. So Narpy here says, LMAO, yes, ha, and He also adds here as additional context, there are more missing gaps of him being sexual, but where he deleted them here are unclear. So as you can see, this is just more proof of KonekoKitten purging messages which make him look bad. KonekoKitten here then also changes the conversation now to say, I need to hecking sleep though, I didn't realize it's so late. And then Narpy here says, anyway, keep in mind once again, KonekoKitten has admitted that he was consensual with the nudes being sent to him, as he was literally soliciting them, and then scrubbed all proof of him, you know, being part of this in the DMs with Narpy later on. And then he admits in the document, which subjected Narpy to an insane amount of harassment and was literally cherry-picked, purported false narratives and lied against him. He literally just admitted that the document he made, in which was trying to be made to defend his reputation against Narpy, was literally just based on the entire lie. His whole narrative was built in a house of cards.
I had made statements and linked threads accusing me of being a pedo and a groomer, and urged people to believe this as fact while providing no evidence for those claims. In 2019, while I was still close with Koneko, I would talk to him about Red, and I had told him the true story about what happened. I also told him that my screenshots with Red had been taken out of context. However, he still felt the need to include this in his document. Unfortunately, this ended up being the most reposted section of his document, and these false groomer and pedo allegations would end up sticking to my name for the years that followed. Also, in Koneko's thread, he mentioned that I flirted with a minor in my Discord server by calling them daddy material. This thread has since been deleted off of Twitter, but Wayback Machine still has it. I did not do this, and I have never flirted with random people in my public voice chats. When these claims were alleged, I was at the peak of my YouTube. I find it hard to believe that if I had joined a voice channel and flirted with a minor, that there wouldn't be a voice recording of me doing so. It blows my mind that these claims were taken at face value, without a clip of me doing anything.
KonekoKitten even admits once again that the threads linked in the document were complete BS, and all he can fathom in response to this is, oh, I'm so sorry, Narpy, even though bro literally killed Narpy's reputation because he didn't want Narpy to come out about his degenerate behavior too. And I also want to preface this by stating I don't believe that KonekoKitten's a pedophile with this proof, but it is still very disgusting that he still solicited nudes from minor when he was 3 years older than them, and then proceeded to lie and play victim in this entire situation when he is literally more in the wrong than Narpy is.
After recording this, I noticed I had left out a claim made by Koneko. In Koneko's document, he claims that I had sent him cub art maliciously. This is not true. I had sent Koneko what I thought was kimono artwork. He liked the art and I wanted to send him more, so I did a reverse image search, which revealed that the art was actually drawn by an NSFW artist. Immediately after I found out that the art was drawn by an NSFW artist, I realized that it was cub art and not kimono artwork. My reaction to this was finding it funny and making jokes about it, as this was my sense of humor at the time. When I said, even though it's good, I was not referring to the cub artist Twitter, I was referring to the art that I had sent to Koneko. This claim was added on because it's part of the pedo and grooming accusations in the document. Koneko knew the context here and still added it on because, without context, my actions look quite disgusting. This is also something that I later clarified to him and owned up to fully.
Now, KonekoKitten was attempting to try and not get this story out, and when Narpy asked what the reason was, KonekoKitten responds, I'm not really worried about being called a pedophile, nor do I really care what dipshits on Twitter think about my character. And, you know, Narpy here obviously smells the bullshit from a mile away and says, from what you've shown me, I don't know if that's entirely true. However, after this, KonekoKitten states he's actually worried about what everyone may think about the Naku situation, because keep in mind, Naku was in a relationship with KonekoKitten when they were 16 turning 17 and KonekoKitten was 20. The ages are presented here, showing it how it was a 3-year and 9-month age gap.
Koneko and Naku were together while him and I were being sexual with each other over Discord. After they broke up, Koneko would go on to make a statement about their relationship, justifying it by claiming that their relationship was purely platonic, and that he was not a pedophile because he was not sexual with Naku.
KonekoKitten's main defense when it comes to this situation where he was dating Naku is that he was asexual at the time of being in a relationship with them. However, first of all, he was literally cheating on Naku behind her back with Narpy and was being literally sexual with Narpy, so how could he have been asexual at the time if he was literally engaging in gay furry roleplay with a 17-year-old boy? Also, keep in mind that KonekoKitten met up with Naku in person before, so just to narrow down the situation as KonekoKitten does to, oh, it was merely platonic and only cat pictures were sent, is extremely hard to believe considering KonekoKitten's long list of lies that are now being unearthed.
The only thing I want to address are his justifications. He had claimed that he was asexual with near zero interest in 18+ activities. Koneko was in no way an asexual during this time, as he had been extremely sexual together with me during 2019, when I was 17 years old, while him and Naku were still together. As mentioned previously in this video, our sexual interactions would come to a stop in January of 2020, right before I had turned 18. His relationship with Naku would last an additional 9 months, before eventually coming to an end in September of 2020, around the time that she was turning 18. As I've mentioned previously, I have absolutely no idea about Koneko's relationship with Naku, or about why it stopped. I also know next to nothing about her. The only point I want to address was his claim of being asexual during this time, which is just completely false.
And all I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if more comes out about this situation and he's trying to hide a lot more. Narpy also goes into more detail on how KonekoKitten kept dodging accountability when it came to admitting that the pedophilia accusations he was signal boosting in his original Narpy exposed document was literally completely false. KonekoKitten just kept going on tangents and tiptoeing around the situation at hand.
2 weeks ago, when I reached out to Koneko and told him that I was making this video, I pleaded with him to try to make a statement retracting the groomer and pedo allegations he made against me. Although he had promised many months prior that he would do this, he would ultimately go back on his promise and reject the idea entirely. Instead, he would deflect and talk about my actions during 2020, using his grandfather as a pivot point and blaming me for the time he'd lost. I continued to pressure him to come forward, but he never gave in. He continued to deflect and dodge accountability. However, he ended up offering to record a voice note for this video, but this wasn't really something that I was interested in. I told him that I wanted him to own up to his mistakes on his platform, not mine.
And keep in mind, this situation got so big in the Roblox community in 2021 that even Keemstar started, purporting the document around the internet and spreading it too. The lies, the manipulation, and deceit that KonekoKitten used in the document damaged Narpy so badly that thousands of people had the wrong idea about his character and what he had done, including myself as well. He literally had to keep enduring these harassments based off of lies for literally over the greater part of 2 years now. Now, Narpy goes over KonekoKitten's recent Twitter post, in which was a last statement Koneko intends to make about this situation, and states this.
To me, this recent statement was a last-ditch effort from his side to try to save face after he realized that I was actually going through with making this video. As I mentioned before in the intro, this is not the first time that I have wanted to speak publicly about everything. I had reached out to Koneko many times in the past, but I had been extremely scared about saying anything publicly, fearing that things would get worse for me, or that Koneko would just strong-arm me like how he done many times before in our DMs. I am really glad that he decided to own up and admit some of the things he did wrong. However, I am disappointed that he did it in such a disingenuous way. He claims that he feels guilty and that he feels really bad about everything, yet he only came forward once he realized that his attempt to manipulate me into silence hadn't worked this time, and I was still coming forward with my side of the story. The statements he made this week were not made out of guilt or because he feels sorry. He made these statements as a last effort to save his own skin, and for that I am truly disappointed.
So overall, me and many other people are extremely disappointed, and I'm actually pretty shocked about how Koneko was able to lie this badly and on this massive scale for over 2 years, and how he essentially got away with it for a very long period of time about just lying about Narpy. And don't get me wrong, Narpy made a lot of mistakes in the past after being groomed in a degenerate furry pipeline and consuming very gross content, and obviously being manipulative in his relationship with KonekoKitten and using his suicidality in a very immoral way. However, the idea that KonekoKitten keeps pushing and presenting in the document that Narpy was the only one wrong in a relationship was a blatant half-truth and a lie, and it's insane how much he attempted to manipulate Narpy into silence to try and prevent him from actually responding in this video in which he's obviously made now. He obviously should have never solicited illegal material from Narpy when they were literally a minor, and a 3-year age gap is very weird. However, ICD defines a pedophilic age gap as anything 5 years or above, and currently many people are calling KonekoKitten a pedophile over this, which I don't entirely believe is true currently. Also, Narpy never explicitly came out and said that KonekoKitten groomed them either, so those two definitions I don't believe match in this situation. However, if this situation shows anything, it's that KonekoKitten engaged in absolutely disgusting and degenerate things back 4 years ago in 2019, and that he entirely lied about the situation. But once again, this wouldn't be the first time he lied, because he literally ruined the entire reputation of Corl, because he literally said the word cringe to his fan, despite the fact that KonekoKitten, the main person who was literally calling Corl out and ruined his reputation, would be extremely rude to his fans in his own Discord server, which is now deleted. And literally, if you had ever pinged KonekoKitten, he would literally swear at you and insult you constantly. And I literally remember seeing this because I was in his server and saw the chat logs at the time. If any KonekoKitten moderator wants to come out about this, please do, because it was insane, the hypocrisy here. He cancels Corl for calling someone cringe and literally over-exaggerates the situation so much, yet he himself is insulting his fans who literally ping him or had pinged him in his old Discord server. It's insane. and I love how no one brings that up. Now, maybe this situation is a domino chain to see what else KonekoKitten's lied about, but it's no doubt that he's currently moved away from the online sphere and is working on self-betterment rather than terminally online degeneracy. However, this has severely affected his credibility in the Roblox community, and as stated in what I believe to be his final response on Twitter to the entire situation, he literally stated himself that he will be taking an indefinite break from the Roblox community, and I don't think most people would want him back either after this situation. And obviously I apologize to Narpy, and I believe everyone else should too, who, you know, tarnished his reputation, because I actually believed the half-truth and lies that KonekoKitten was purporting in this document, and so did so many others. So anyway, please share this video around the Roblox community so more people can be made aware about this situation, because what Koneko did with Narpy was quite literally illegal. It is illegal to solicit material like that from a child, especially when this person's an adult, and Narpy was literally still a minor. The age dynamic there is very questionable, to say the least. But anyway, make sure to comment your opinions about the situation down below and what you think about KonekoKitten and the age gap present there. Do you think he should be cancelled for this? And also make sure to check out my previous videos too, which I'm showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
I'm not going to be dishonest about it. I don't understand this channel of Parla with 108,000 subscribers.
And this is what you get when you subscribe to KonekoKitten. I'm just saying.